Victoria Beckham once had everything: global fashion dominance, pop culture royalty status, and a family the world saw as perfectly bonded. But behind the luxury and the smiles, something painful has been unfolding. A slow, public unraveling between Victoria and her eldest son, Brooklyn Beckham. What once looked like a flawless celebrity dynasty is now the subject of relentless headlines, emotional speculation, and online dissection. At the center of the storm are Brooklyn and his wife, Nicola Peltz, a couple whose relationship was once hailed as a fairy tale union between two powerful families, but now appears to have quietly redrawn the family lines. Those close to Victoria say this has been one of the hardest periods of her life. She's caught between loving her son and feeling increasingly shut out of his world. And the first crack didn't come from a screaming match or a leaked argument. It came from something symbolic, a wedding dress. When Brooklyn and Nicola married in 2022, many expected Victoria to design Nicola's gown. Instead, Nicola chose Valentino. Publicly, it was explained as a timing issue. Privately, it was the first moment many insiders believe feelings were bruised and boundaries were tested. From the outside, the wedding looked flawless, but inside the tone had already shifted. Then came the reception. What was supposed to be a celebration of love reportedly became emotionally complicated. Certain moments were perceived as spotlight stealing, others as awkward, and Nicola was said to have felt overshadowed on what should have been her night. After that, the relationship between her and Victoria never quite recovered, and over time, the distance only grew. Brooklyn began showing up less and less at Beckham family gatherings. Then in 2025, the silence became impossible to ignore. David Beckham threw a huge 50th birthday celebration, packed with celebrities, family, and lifelong friends. But Brooklyn and Nicola didn't attend. That absence was louder than any argument. Soon after, the digital clues started stacking up. Unfollows, missing birthday posts, deleted photos. In a family whose image is built online, these weren't accidents. They were signals. Behind the scenes, sources said Brooklyn wanted private conversations with his parents, while David and Victoria wanted open family discussions. Neither side felt heard, and as that stalemate deepened, the rift began spreading to the siblings. Romeo and Brooklyn, once inseparable, drifted further apart. Cruz, who had always been close to Brooklyn, began aligning more with Romeo. Even small social media moments, comments, jokes, likes, hinted that this was no longer just a parent-child conflict. Victoria felt it acutely. Friends say she feared losing not just her son, but her place in his life. Traditions she held dear, like the annual family holiday card, now felt uncertain. Brooklyn wasn't as present, and with every missed milestone, the family's image of unity cracked further. Victoria and David, according to people close to them, kept trying to reach out, through invitations, heartfelt messages, and quiet attempts to reconnect. But insiders say the emotional distance only widened. Then came the moment that made the entire world gasp. Brooklyn and Nicola quietly renewed their wedding vows. At first it seemed romantic and low-key, but days later a flood of highly curated photos hit social media, showing Nicola's family, Nicola's celebration, Nicola's world. And once again, the Beckhams were missing. To fans, it didn't look like a sweet anniversary. It looked like a declaration, a visual message about where Brooklyn's loyalty now lived, and that brings us to the most serious development yet. Because this feud is no longer just emotional, it's now legal. Brooklyn has reportedly sent his parents, David and Victoria Beckham, a legal notice requesting that all communication go through his lawyers. The notice also reportedly asked them not to tag him on social media and not to contact him directly. Insiders say this came after Brooklyn felt his privacy boundaries were being ignored, including moments where Victoria interacted with his online content, which he saw as crossing a line he had clearly drawn. The fallout didn't stop there. Brooklyn and Nicola have reportedly blocked David and Victoria on Instagram. Nicola has deleted old posts featuring the Beckham family, including birthday tributes to Victoria. At the same time, Brooklyn still follows some grandparents and extended relatives, suggesting he hasn't cut off everyone, just his parents and siblings. And Nicola has been liking comments online that reference the feud, something many believe is quietly inflaming the situation. Meanwhile, there are two very different stories being told. Sources close to David and Victoria say they've tried repeatedly to reconnect, sending invitations, extending olive branches, and attempting to mend things privately. Sources close to Brooklyn and Nicola say that's not true, and claim meaningful outreach hasn't happened in nearly a year. No one is speaking publicly, but behind the scenes, the family reportedly hasn't been in direct contact for months. And what used to be a painful emotional divide is now being handled through lawyers and social media blocks. This is no longer just a family argument. It's a full-scale separation. And that's what makes this so heartbreaking. Not the gossip, not the headlines, but the fact that one of the world's most famous families is now quietly being split apart by legal boundaries, digital walls, and broken trust. Whether reconciliation is still possible, no one knows. But as 2026 unfolds, the silence from the Beckham camp has become deafening, replaced by a strategic image war that is playing out on a global stage. While Victoria continues to post throwback photos of a young, smiling Brooklyn, perhaps as a silent plea for reconciliation, Brooklyn's response has been a series of high-profile interviews where he pointedly refers to the Peltz family as his true foundation and the only people who truly understand his vision. This brand versus blood battle has now moved into the business world, with reports that Brooklyn is seeking to legally distance his own professional ventures from the Beckham name entirely, choosing to build an empire under the Peltz-Beckham banner with zero involvement from David's management team. Insiders reveal that David is heartbroken and bewildered, struggling to understand how a father-son bond that once seemed unbreakable could dissolve into lawyer-drafted emails and Instagram restricts. Even more chilling are the rumors of a tell-all project in the works, not from the Beckhams, but from sources close to the Peltz estate, that threatens to reveal the unfiltered truth of what happened behind the scenes of that 2022 wedding. As the world watches, the question is no longer just about a mother and son. It's about whether the Beckham legacy can survive its most public defection. Is this a young man finally finding his voice? Or is it the ultimate price of fame where even the strongest families can be dismantled by the very spotlight that created them? The walls are up, the legal teams are ready, and the once-perfect Beckham shield has finally shattered. If you want the real stories behind celebrities' perfect images, the power plays, the family fractures, and what the headlines don't tell you, hit subscribe now. Drop your thoughts in the comments, share this with someone who follows celebrity drama, and stay tuned, because this story is far from over.